So today we're taking a look at some of the best action cameras on the market. We have the Insta360 X3 versus the GoPro Hero 11. Both of these action cameras are fantastic. And if you have the budget, personally, I would pick up both because they complement each other so well. But if you only have the budget for one, which one should you get? Well, I'm gonna say X3. And in this video, I'm gonna go over 5 reasons why. Now, with that being said, I am going to link both cameras down in the description. So if you feel like picking either one up, or if you just wanna learn more about them, you can find those links down below. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is usability and simplicity. And this starts with the design of each of these cameras. Now, compared to their predecessors, they're not that much of a difference, but compared to each other, they are strikingly different. The GoPro is a boxier camera, but it's still nice and compact. It can easily slide in and out of a bag, purse, or a pocket. It's nice for vlogging because you can get a nice grip on it and hold it out in front of you. On the back, we have a nice size touchscreen that does get nice and bright. On the front, we have another screen that isn't touch, but at least it's a screen that you can use to frame yourself if you're using it for vlogging. We also have the GoPro mount on the bottom that, tucks away, so it's built into the GoPro itself. And overall, I do like the design of this camera. Now, when it comes to the X3, we have a huge screen now on the back, which is a big jump from the X2. In terms of shape, it's more like a candy bar if you ask me. But what's great about only having one screen when it comes to this camera, especially with how big the screen is now, I only need one, because I can film myself using this screen, and if I want to film away from myself, because it's a 360 camera, I just have to rotate the field of view, and now I'm viewing anything away from me. And that's what's really great about having a 360 camera over just a typical action camera. Another benefit is the fact that it has a 1/4-20 on the bottom versus a GoPro mount. I can easily attach a GoPro mount to the bottom of this. I can attach a tripod plate. I can attach it to a mini tripod. There's a lot of things that I can do with the 1/4-20, and it's just a little bit more difficult to do with a typical GoPro mount. I also find that the X3 is easier to hold on to when vlogging or filming yourself, simply because there's just more to get a grip on, and you have a less likely chance of covering up one of the microphones versus the GoPro, which is nice and compact, but because it's so small, you kind of got to hold it in the palm of your hand, and you have a greater chance of covering up one of those mics. Now, speaking of vlogging, let's go ahead and do a quick vlog test so you can hear the mics on each of these and get a better understanding of what to expect if you pick one up. So this is the test using the Hero 11. Now, I'm shooting in 5.3K full frame, 30 frames per second. I do have Pro mode turned on, but I'm not dialing in my own settings. I left them all in auto, and I'm using the natural color science. In terms of audio, I have the audio or the microphone all the way up to the highest setting, including raw audio, which is actually a separate track, so you have to go in and sync the audio track with the video. I'll go ahead and switch over to the raw audio now, so that way you can see if you hear a difference. Let me know what you think of the quality on the GoPro Hero 11. Now we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the Insta360 X3. So now I'm shooting on the Insta360 X3, 5.7K, 30 frames per second using the standard color profile, simply because I find that it matches the natural profile on the GoPro a little bit more. I find that the mics on the X3 are better in quality and the overall experience, but let me know what you think of the raw audio from the GoPro versus what you're hearing now. Now, when it comes to that audio experience, the X3 offers 3 different mic modes. We have directional audio, which I'm using right now, then we have wind reduction, and we have stereo. What's great about directional audio is that it utilizes the 360 capabilities of this camera. So right now the field of view is facing towards me, so that's where the audio pickup is going to be. But if I flip the camera, you can see my voice is going to be lower and is going to pick up the audio from behind the camera. Again, this all comes down to the added flexibility you get with 360 cameras. It's like I said, when it comes to image quality, you can't go wrong with either camera. They're both gonna offer you the best image quality out there on an action camera in this price range. The biggest difference here is ease of use and usability. And with that being said, I have to give the edge to the X3, not only for everything that I mentioned, but also when it comes to navigating the menu on each of these cameras. The X3 is just snappier, plus it's easier to locate things. For instance, if I want to change my ISO, I have to go to my resolution, tap on the pencil, swipe a couple times, and then finally I get to ISO, which I again have to tap on that and then adjust that. It just takes longer on the GoPro versus the X3, and that's a big deal to me. So you've heard me talk a lot about flexibility when it comes to using the Insta360 X3. Well, that brings me into reason number 2, and that's the fact that I get to record first and then reframe later. That's like the ultimate flexibility when it comes to creating content. Now, of course, the GoPro Hero 11 is wide. In fact, it's so wide, it should be able to get whatever you want in frame as long as your camera is pointed at it. But what about the stuff that your camera is not pointed at? So here's an example. Let's say you have the GoPro mounted on your helmet, and you're riding your bike or running through the woods, and all of a sudden an animal or a monster starts chasing you. The first thing you're going to want to do is get to safety because you're in fear of your life. Well, you're not going to be looking behind you, so the GoPro's not going to be filming that monster or whatever it is behind you. If you have the Insta360 X3 mounted on your helmet, you're going to be able to capture both. So whenever you get to safety, you can pull the footage off of the X3, reframe everything, and now you have a viral video of the homeless man chasing you. Okay, so let's talk about reason number 3, which is all about trick shots. And I think that's where the Insta360 really shines. I mean, the GoPro is capable of capturing cool shots, but not necessarily trick shots. You know that the Insta360 series has always had that invisible selfie stick, right? Which is really cool because it basically removes the selfie stick from the shot, giving you a more surreal image, especially when it comes to that iconic car shot. That is something that the Insta360 has been used for a lot all over social media and on YouTube. And this is what it looks like using the Insta360 X3. Absolutely fantastic. Like, the shots that you can get in terms of the angling and the field of view is pretty much second to none. You really can't replicate this with another camera unless you have like a big budget and you're using a team. Now, this is that same shot with the GoPro. Look at that selfie stick. It's still a cool shot. And of course, you could always just mount the GoPro like directly on the mount without a selfie stick, but you won't get that same field of view. And that's really where the Insta360 X3 really shines. But you know, it's more than just that iconic car shot. You could also use the invisible selfie stick to track yourself in order to get that Grand Theft Auto look, that third-person perspective, and it's really awesome. And you could do this all in camera with the brand new Me mode. So you don't have to track yourself in post and use the app for anything. Really, you could just set up your shot, use the invisible selfie stick, and the moment that you extract that footage off of your camera, it's done. You can upload it to social media or you can upload it directly to YouTube. So this is what that footage looks like using the Insta360 X3. You can see it looks really, really good. And then now this is that same clip using the GoPro. Again, I understand that I'm exaggerating the footage here because you wouldn't be using this super long selfie stick for the GoPro, but you can see what I mean about the different perspectives and what you're able to capture with the X3 over the GoPro. So outside of the invisible selfie stick, you also have bullet time, and it works in a similar fashion in the sense that it removes the item or the tool used for the shot out of the frame, but instead of using a selfie stick, you're using either the bullet time cable or like this little bullet time wand. And you basically just spin the Insta360, oh God, that was a leaf. In any case, this is what it looks like on the Insta360 X3 shooting in 4K 120 frames per second. And you can see it looks pretty awesome. And this is what that same shot looks like using the GoPro. And obviously, again, I'm exaggerating here. I'm just trying to show you the difference in terms of the shots that you're able to get when you're comparing the X3 versus the Hero 11. Reason number 4 why I would go with the X3 over the Hero 11 comes down to the app. Now, don't get me wrong, both companies have solid apps, but the Insta360 app is better, in my opinion, than the GoPro app. Now, GoPro allows your basic functions like all of your camera settings. You can also start and stop recording, snap a photo. You can also browse all of your videos and photos on the camera straight from the app and then download them. You even have like a little editor inside the GoPro app, but a lot of the premium features you have to pay for with the GoPro subscription. So not only do you have to buy the camera, you also have to subscribe for a monthly or annual fee. That's a little lame in my opinion. The Insta360 app has all of that. Plus you have a community page that shows you how to do different shots. So all of those trick shots that I was talking about, there's a breakdown on how to achieve those. For instance, there's like the mouth shot, and if you load that up, it tells you exactly what to do. And then all you have to do is go out and record it. But I have no idea why Insta360 made this mode because it just makes you look very special. So here's another example. It's probably my favorite mode that Insta360 offers. It's called Cinelapse. All you have to do is go out and take 6 different video clips. They need to be at least like 30 seconds in length. It stitches them all together and it adds really, really cool effects. It doesn't work every single time, and you need to find an area that has lots of architecture and landmarks that are symmetrical in order to get the most out of it, but the results are incredible, and it's so easy. Everything about the Insta360 app is far more intuitive and far more easier to use than GoPro. Not only that, but the community section in the Insta360 app allows you to see what other people are creating, so that way you can get inspiration and you can post your own footage or your own video clips onto the Insta360 community to get feedback. I think that's awesome. It's basically like having its own social media network right inside of the camera app. Of course, just like GoPro, Insta360 has their own built-in video editor right inside of the camera app, but Insta360 takes things to the next level due to it being a 360 camera. It has some of the best tracking I have ever seen. All you have to do is import a 360 video file, and then find a subject that you want to track as long as the app can identify the subject, tap on it, and it will make sure that it keeps that subject center frame without you having to do any manually tracking. If you don't see that the app identified the subject, you can simply draw a box around whatever you want, and the app 9 times out of 10 will track it, given that your footage looks good. I think that is incredible, and it really opens up the door to a lot more possibilities with your footage. And that's where the Insta360 really shines. Another really cool mode inside of the Insta360 app is the sky replacement, and it works insanely well. I mean, just check out this clip here. Tell me that is not really awesome. And it's just super easy to do because the instructions are laid out for you right inside of the app. Now, with that being said, I did run into a few differences that have nothing to do with personal preference and come down to usability. One of those has to do with connecting to each camera. The Insta360 app allows you to get a live view feed as soon as you hit the record button, even in 5.7K. So that way you can adjust your field of view or perspective in real time as you're monitoring the camera. I think that's incredible. The GoPro app doesn't even give you a live view feed in 1080p. To me, that's a bummer. So the last reason comes down to photo mode. Now, I'm not a huge action camera photography type person, but in a pinch, I can definitely see why that would be important. The Insta360 X3 has more megapixels. We're looking at 72 megapixels versus 24.7 on the GoPro. Now, outside of that, because megapixels don't mean everything, you have more flexibility with the X3 because it's a 360-degree photo. So not only can you reframe and crop in because you have that large megapixel count and the 360-degree nature of the photo, you can also animate the photo. So this makes it perfect for real estate shoots if you're trying to show off a room, or if you're trying to showcase a location that you might be vacationing. And of course, you can do all of this inside of the phone app. Another great thing is that the Insta360 can take raw 72 megapixel 360-degree photos, which gives you even more flexibility. Now, the GoPro does have great stills capabilities, but it's just not on the same page as the Insta360 if you ask me, even after you do, quite a bit of cropping with the X3. All right, so let's wrap this up. If you're looking for a really good action camera, you can't go wrong with either one of these. They're pretty much the best of the best in this price range. But if you want a little bit more out of that experience, you want the flexibility, you want the wow factor, you want all of the fun stuff that I talked about in this video, plus more, get the X3. That's where this thing shines, is fun. You want a fun camera? Get this. You want just an action camera that really a smartphone can replace? Get this. I'm not hating on GoPro. I do think this has its place because it has a rugged design. If you're not jumping off cliffs, you're not diving with sharks, you don't do extreme sports, this and this are going to be just fine. And in many cases, you could still use this while doing extreme sports. It's going to be perfect. I love this thing. Sound off down below. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Check the description for links as well as links to those videos I mentioned previously. And on top of that, I'll see you beautiful people in the next one.